Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Skull Session Recruiting Podcast, brought to you by BuckeyeHuddle.com. Our class of 2024 signing day recruiting capsules continuing here. We've got linebacker Garrett Stover, Buckeye, officially signed here on National Signing Day. And a huge piece to Ohio State's class, was kind of an early tone setter for the class, a guy who brings a lot of speed, athleticism, toughness to the field. And hey, can't go wrong with another Stover, right?
Exactly. Local guy, Big Walnut High School. People were like, oh, linebacker, safety. I mean, he's being recruited as a linebacker. I mean, he's somebody who gets out there and just plays with that Stover mentality. Maybe he's not quite as rural as Cade is, but I'm sure he has some Stover Farms merch himself. That family, toughness runs through that family. And he's somebody who I had a chance to go out and see earlier this season. And while they did not go at him all that much, or actually what they did was they tried to go at him. Sometimes you try and negate a team's best defensive player by going right at him. And, they managed to keep Stover at bay, but I kept watching his film through the season. He kept getting better and better and better. And I don't think fans knew what they had exactly right off the bat with Cade Stover, and I think it's going to be a little similar with Garrett as well.
Yeah. So with Garrett, it's interesting. I think he brings a kind of an element of speed that maybe they haven't had at linebacker the last couple of years. He plays 1,000 miles an hour. He was a safety his first couple of years at Big Walnut, made the transition to linebacker. So he's still kind of learning the instinctual part of the position, but you want to talk about someone who can just close on the football and kind of get sideline to sideline and arrive with bad intentions. That is Garrett. And so he is able to really close the gap. When there's a seam, you think there's a seam there, he can really close gaps on you as a defender. And one of those guys who just total toughness team player as well. I mean, we saw that with Cade over the years. You're going to see that with Garrett as well. Just a tremendous talent and a guy who I think his best football is in front of him, just because, again, played a lot of safety in high school and is going to make that transition to outside linebacker at Ohio State. But big time physical presence who can just really, really run. And I think it's interesting because, his speed is probably his best strength. Probably the thing I like about him the most is the way he can run and close. But that's also kind of the thing he's got to channel a little bit. If there's one kind of maybe knock on his game right now that can improve with more reps, more experience, is that he will overrun a play or he'll run himself out of a play. He's running so hard. He's trying so hard to close a gap and he just kind of overruns something. So that's like the one, and that's pretty easy to teach. What you can't teach is his intensity, his speed, his athleticism, and his toughness. Those are the things that are just in him. So just kind of channeling that aggression a little bit, making sure he's not running himself out of a hole or overrunning a play. Those are kind of the things to work on for a guy who, again, has not played a ton of linebacker yet, just getting familiar with the position the last year and a half. So, but I think he's got big time upside. He's one of my top guys in Ohio. In the class, he's my number 4 player in the entire state of Ohio in his class. I think he's, if you told me he's a top 100 guy on the national lists, I would agree with that. I think he's somewhere in that 75 to 125 type of range for me as a prospect. He's a really good national prospect. So 4-star linebacker Garrett Stover in the fold. Kevin, what I guess just this, we've been talking about this with the losses to Michigan, the last couple of years. We've been talking about, do they need to recruit more Ohio guys who understand the rivalry? Like, this is a kid who is going to understand the rivalry.
Absolutely. And I think that having some of those guys on the roster, and not only on the roster, I mean, okay, great, you're on the 85. No, you need to have guys like this that are very much in the mix. And I think that that Stover will do a good job with that. I mean, just everything that I've seen with Stover, I did see them, him overrunning some plays in the game. I was sitting here thinking, who did I watch him play? And it was Hartley. I saw him watch. I watched him play Bishop Hartley, and that happened a little bit. But he is going to be an absolute wrecker on special teams. I mean, just sign him up for special teams right this second. But yeah, he'll get it, and he'll make sure that people understand losing to Michigan, unacceptable. This is what it means if Ohio State isn't going to bring in former players to explain what the significance is. I think that Garrett Stover will be able to give those speeches himself at 18 years old. I mean, it's funny because you see him, he was a fixture at Ohio State games this season. I mean, he's got that Stover look to him. I mean, he looks like, a young old man already. I mean, he's got that intensity. I mean, he looks like he's just, worked a double at the Foundry already. I mean, he's a throwback. I'm really excited about this type of player.
Yeah, every time I was over there this off season for camps or spring practice, whatever it was, every time I was over there, he was there. It was crazy. He's like, I don't know if they got a cot for him, like somewhere, like in the corner that he could stay at, but he was always at the facility and just whether helping with recruiting or soaking up some knowledge, watching practice, hanging out with his cousin, just whatever it was, he was always over there. So he's been very much involved in the program over the past year and a half already. He's going to hit the ground running on a lot of things, a lot of the things that they're trying to teach around the program. So I've always been a big fan of Garrett's game. He's been a top guy in Ohio for me the whole way, and he's just continued to improve. He's learning a new position and getting better at that all the time. And the football, like IQ is there, the instincts, but just the physical tools are really impressive. His speed, his strength, and just the toughness, intensity he plays with. So this was a big early pickup for them. And the Silver Bullets, they're coming back. The defense was better this year. It needs to continue to get better, especially we talk about like in the big games. But this is a guy who I think has a good chance to bring the Silver Bullets back to Columbus.
Yeah, you look at him and you look at the makeup of the linebacker room, and again, we don't know what could potentially come out of the portal or anything else, but I think that they have some really good complementary pieces. I mean, when you're sitting there and you're playing again the 4-2-5, and you have a Mike, and then whether or not you have if you have a Sam or a Will, depending on how you. Some people, Sam is a Will. I mean, there's so much confusion on what it is, whether or not, your responsibility is the tight end or not. But I think that Garrett Stover will fit a lot of different other pieces with him as being that rock steady type of Mike. And as you had mentioned earlier, when once Cody Simon runs out of his eligibility after this season, that path could be right there for Stover, depending upon what happens in the portal.
The one thing one of the other things about him is, regardless of kind of where you want to play him, he is going to be a 3-down linebacker. We talk about that now in today's game. It's like there are so many linebackers that if you leave them on the field on 3rd and long, you're putting yourself in kind of a tough spot in coverage situations. But Garrett's experience playing safety and just playing 10, 15 yards off the line of scrimmage, I think will serve him very well. He's kind of the modern, prototype in terms of what you're looking for in a linebacker right now, because he's tough against the run. He can run the alleys and shoot gaps and do all those things to create kind of these splash plays against the run. But he's not he's not going to be a liability in coverage. He's not going to be someone you have to worry about in terms of covering a tight end, or, oh no, what if he gets caught on a running back? We actually saw him in one-on-ones at the Under Armour camp get an interception going against Michigan commit Jordan Marshall at running back in coverage. So Garrett was really fired up about that. It was kind of a fun moment to watch. But he's going to be a guy who you don't have to worry about getting put into like a lot of mismatches. He's going to be able to stay out there in all situations. So that's another thing he'll bring to the table where you don't have to worry about him on 3rd and long. So big expected signing, no drama there, obviously, maybe the most solid of all the commits throughout the process, but Garrett Stover officially a Buckeye. So keep it locked in here. We will continue to update you guys throughout the day as new LOIs come in, and be talking recruiting throughout the day. We got a live stream going at youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle. So check that out. We'll be answering questions and kind of really going as long as you guys want us to go. So make sure to check that out. But thanks for watching and listening to this one, and we'll be back with another one very shortly.